Hi, I'm Monah and welcome to episode 66 of Ethnically Speaking, the show where we discuss everything affecting the UK's highly melanated communities, from pop culture to current affair and everything in between. As ride or die fans of the show will know, I am new to the panel. So today we will most definitely be keeping it 100%, as Sophie and I will be asking each other some questions to get to know one another. So I'm going to start with some questions for you, Sophie. Are you ready?
Ooh. Do you know what? I'm ready. I'm nervous, but I'm ready.
Don't be nervous. We'll be absolutely fine. I'm a little bit nervous as well, actually. As soon as I said it, I started getting a little bit hot. Okay, my question for you, Sophie, is what was your first impression of me? I love this question.
You came across quite serious, to be honest, which is not what you're like, from what I can gather. But you came across quite serious, and I was just like, oh, okay, she's a bit serious. And I think also, I really like the way I really like the way you thought. That's what I'm trying to say. I really like the way that you thought because you thought about things that we talked about in just a very different way. And I was just like, man, that I would never have thought of that point. That really does challenge the way that I think about this topic or this subject that we're talking about. So yeah, I thought you were like a intelligent woman. And I think as we've gone on, I'm just like, nah, she's a bag of fun as well.
Oh, thanks. I feel like I was really nervous the first time. So I was just a bit like, so it must have come across as being very serious. Because yeah, as you said, once you get to know me, I'm not really that serious. It must have just genuinely been like nerves.
Yeah, I definitely think so. But I can understand it was nerve-wracking. All right. I'm going to go with my first question for you then.
Okay.
What's the one thing that people should know about you?
The one thing that people should know about me is I'm actually quite blunt in terms of I can say it very black and white. And I think the reason why I would say some people should know that about me from the jump is because there has been some misconceptions of it coming across as very, I wouldn't say rude, but if you're used to kind of being tiptoed around and wrapped around and bubble wrap, when I speak, it can be a bit of wow. But it's just generally being black and white. And I'd like to be spoken to very black and white as well. I don't really need anybody to fluff things up for me. Just tell me how it is.
Do you know what, Monah? I have to laugh because I get the exact same feedback from it. And most of the time when people say it, they're saying it as a negative towards me. Like, you're too blunt. You always think that you're right. You just want to say things that you feel as they are. And in my head, I'm like, well, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't you want to know things as they are? That's how it runs in my mind. So I am with you. I get it. I'm like, but it's this and this, right? And people are like, well, you shouldn't say that person was acting that way. I'm like, but we all thought it. So why can't I just say it? Like, those are the things that I really struggle with because in my family we're very blunt. So I'm having to learn now as a big grown woman that sometimes I just got to let people do madness and sit there quietly, but my face always reveals anyway. So people are screwed either way. Either my face or my mouth are going to say it, but hidey hi, holy ho. So next question. Oh, next question is for me, isn't it?
Yes, the next question is for you, Eager Beaver. Are you a morning person or are you a night owl?
Morning person, 100%. I would rather get up and do stuff early than stay up late. I like to stay up late maybe watching TV and stuff, but I also like to get enough hours sleep because then I can get really crabby in the mornings if I don't. So I'm currently studying for my master's and doing a full-time job. And I would rather thank you. But even though I haven't done it yet, I'm always like, I need to wake up at 4 a.m. to do my studying because having to study at the end of my workday at 5 o'clock when my brain has been spent is not good for me. So yeah, I like to be up with the sun.
4 o'clock? Have you actually put that into practice?
Okay. I haven't, but I really need to because I'm just like, I hate working in the evenings. I hate it. Like, it's just not me. I want to come to about 5, 6 and be like, I'm done. Chill time.
So what time do you wake up in the morning if you didn't have work?
When you get into a rhythm of it, like your body just wakes you up naturally. So probably like after 6, which I don't think is that early anymore. I want to try to start waking up more like around 5. Just to try and get my day started and fit in all the things I want to do before work because I feel like I'm always like behind the time. And I'm like, oh, I want to get up and do some reading. I want to get up and exercise. And then I want to already have had a shower and then eat some breakfast with my husband and then to like spend some time with God. And I want to do that all before 9 o'clock. And there's just not enough hours in the day.
I'm same like you. I'm a morning person as well. And I try to have rituals that I implement as well to get it done at a certain time as well. It runs in our bloodline. Like me, my mum, my grandmother, we're all up at like 5. As soon as it's 5, I'm like, bing, I can't help it, regardless of how late I go to bed. So that can sometimes be a bit tricky for me because the later I go to bed is the more that I'll struggle the next day because my body doesn't add on the time. Does that make sense? I'll just be extra tired.
Okay, I'm up next. Are you a phone or a text person?
Phone. Get out my face with a texting. I did English as a degree.
Really?
I'm not doing it twice. Phone all the way. If you text me, I'm on either end. You can either get a text back within 2 minutes. Sometimes you get you've just sent it. Mona's replied. It can be that instant. Or maybe, I don't know, weeks. I've gone age. If I looked at my phone, hold on. So on my phone, I have 122 messages and I have 98 WhatsApp messages, 319 emails. No missed calls though. No voice messages because I answer.
You're one of those people. You either fall into. I am a hardcore texter. I hate having to call people. I'm not gonna lie.
Why?
I hate it. I will actually watch the phone ring. And then I'll send a text. Oh, just missed your call. Is everything okay? Like I'm
so
bad.
Annoying.
I do it. I am so guilty.
Why is that?
Do you know what? I just don't like when it gets uncomfortable on the phone. I hate that.
Okay.
Like when the conversation dries up or there's not enough to talk to, I get so awkward that I'm just like, if I send a text, there's no awkwardness. It's just quick and to the point. And I think, I text probably, as I said, as bluntly as I talk. So I'd be like, hey, what's up? Do you do this thing that I asked for? And people are like, oh, morning, Sophie. I'm just like, oh, yeah,
I do that.
Morning. Like, and I have to be mindful, even with like our executive producers, the amount of times I've messaged them, they're like, hey, Sophie, how are you? I'm just like, yeah. So what time are we filming? I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm fine. How are you? Because I just want to get to the point of what it is that I'm asking. So I need to try and be better on the phone and because it's just bad. It's a very bad habit. But I will text you all day. And like even with voice notes, I don't even like voice notes. I'd rather text you a 10-page.
Come on! You're joking.
Text a 10-page tweet than a voice note. Like my friend will voice note me and then I'll text back. Like I'm just like, no, I don't want to talk right now.
I think the thing for me, I know what you mean about the awkwardness, and people have said that before, but where I am so blunt, I'll be like, all right, bye. Gotta go. Just, if I can pin it down, I'm like, right, I'll speak to you later. I just find that with texting, it can be so inconvenient because if there's times where I can't text, it's just annoying. I'd rather send a voice note or on the phone because sometimes you might want to just quickly say something. Hello, did you find the keys underneath the mat? All right, bye. Waiting for a response. Some people have seen it. You haven't texted me back, but I can see you on Instagram and you're looking for a smack. I don't really know what's going on.
I'm not going to lie. That upsets me to the most. Like when people are just like, can't talk right now. I'm like, but you've updated your lives. You're liking my picture, but you're not free to chat. I don't understand this. That doesn't make any sense. But the only person I call religiously and talk to is my sister. She and my husband. But my husband has changed since we've gotten married. He doesn't talk to me on the phone anymore. He just won't. Like when I call him, he's bothered by it. He's just like, yeah. And I'm just like, he's just like I'm gonna come home. Like, what do you need? Can you talk to me about it then? I'm just like, yeah. But when we were dating, oh my gosh, you couldn't get enough of me.
That's what happens sometimes.
Yeah.
So my next question for you is, what is your best travel story?
Do you know what? I'll say one, and then probably another one's going to come to me. But what's my best travel story?
Have you travelled a lot?
I have travelled a lot. I've travelled to like 6 of the 7 continents of the world. So my previous job involved international travel. So I got to see a lot of Africa, a few countries in Asia, got to go to Australia, South America. So those are really great experiences.
That's nice.
But all I can think about is like probably a really gross story. So I went out to this project in Peru and I was doing volunteer management. So managing teams of volunteers who were going over and doing projects. And one thing we always said to people is like, if you get vomiting and diarrhea, don't come on the project. We're like, if you're already in the country, fine, but like stay in your room, just send a message because it's highly contagious. And if someone gets it, you're going to knock out the team. But these are volunteers who had fundraised for like 18 months in order to be on this project. And they were like, we are not going to miss a day of the project. So the vomiting and diarrhea went around the camp and everybody got knocked out. I got knocked out and I was literally hugging this toilet bowl for days, just vomiting to the point when it was just awful. And in Peru, where we were staying, water was very scarce for toilets. So you weren't able to flush toilets, tissue down the toilet because they're like, we don't do that here. You have to just put the tissue in a bin beside the toilet and don't put it down. And you have vomiting and diarrhea.
Oh my goodness me.
It was awful. It was
I can imagine.
Absolutely awful. And I was just talking to my husband at the time, like we were just starting in that new period. You remember like when you first started dating and you just want to spend every hour on the phone.
Honeymoon phase.
And you know what I mean? And you're up until like the morning. You're like, man, I went to work with no sleep, but it was so great. And I was in South America and my phone bill was over £400 because that whole time I had vomiting and diarrhea. Everybody else went on the project because they had to work and it was just me and there was nobody to talk to. So I would talk to him all day and my phone bill was £400 when I came back, but he was a good boyfriend at the time. He paid the majority of it. So he was very nice about it. But that was pretty awful. And I was so mad at people because I was just like, don't come out your room.
Look what you've given me.
I told you. Yeah, I was mad.
What was it? Something in the water in Peru? What was this bug going around?
Do you know what it was? I don't think it was something in the water. It was just sometimes there's just different bugs sometimes in their food. So even just like the bacteria, even if it's not bad bacteria, it can just affect your body differently. But once somebody has the bug, it's not even the food anymore. It's literally that person's passing it on and on and on and on and on, and it's highly contagious. So honestly, it was a mess.
Oh my goodness. I've got such a weak stomach, so if anybody was to get that, it would most definitely be me. Let me ask you my next question.
It's my turn, girl.
Oh, is it your turn? Oh, yes.
I know, right? My next question is, tell me one thing on your bucket list.
I'm really scared of heights, and I feel like the older that I'm getting is the worse it's getting. I would really like to bungee jump out of a plane.
Girl, no.
Skydive.
Yes.
Even bungee jumping, I would like to, but I am petrified. The thought of it, like, so basically, I call it like my radar. So underneath my feet, when I get to a certain level that's high, my feet are like, beep, 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 beep. I feel the pulse from underneath my feet. It tells me that I'm getting too high. So when I was in New York, random story, when I was in New York and we were going up the, where were we going? It was the Empire State Building, I think it is. Oh my God. My heart almost came out my bum. When the lift opens and then you come out and you've got all this ground to go and then you come back in again, you keep doing that. And then you get to the top, there's not a lot of ground. I literally poked my head out like that. I was like, yeah, okay, cool, been here, seen it. So how I would even ever be able to come out of skydive out of a plane, I have no idea. But that is definitely on my bucket list. My heart's pumping.
You can do it. You can do it.
Have you done it?
So no, I've never done skydiving, but it is something that I want to do. And I actually paid for my sister to go skydiving for her birthday. It was a big birthday 6-7 years ago. And at the time I was in a low paying job. So we were supposed to do it together, but I could only afford one of us to do it. And it was her birthday. Because she's afraid of heights, I'm like, I'm going to make her jump out of a plane. Because she loves experiences. She loves to just do things. I'm like, I know she's going to do it. So it's something that I would really like to do. But I think the one thing that probably on my bucket list, because I just really want to answer this question, is I really want to build a house. I've realized that is something that I want to do. Like, I love looking at houses. I love homes. But I think I've decided that I really want to build my own home one day. Just buy
in this country.
Just build
in
a
this
house.
Country or anywhere? Okay.
In this country. Yeah, outside of London, it's actually much more reasonable to be able to be done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yeah, I want to build a home.
Amazing. Would you rather have Noisy neighbours or nosy neighbours?
Nosy neighbours, because you ain't going to get nothing out of me if I don't want to share it. So you can ask a million questions. That's fine. You can peek out the window. But if you want to keep me up late night playing rock music, or your children playing instruments or having arguments, I'm not here for that. I don't want you to disturb the peace, the inner peace in my house. So I'd rather you be nosy.
That's a good one. I was going to take noisy because I can't stand nosy people asking me personal questions. But thinking about what you said, I've changed my answer now. I'd do the same as you.
My next question is, what's the most spontaneous thing that you've ever done?
I've got more stories than the devil's got sinners when it comes to stuff like this. The most spontaneous thing I have ever done is... I've got different vibes. I'll give you like 2 or 3. One, when I was in Vegas with my mum, I left and I was like, I'm going to go to LA, bye. And I just booked a flight and I went to LA that day. She was like, oh, okay. I went to LA to go see my godsister and then I came back. But that was super spontaneous because I'd just left her in LA, in Vegas, bless her. A super spontaneous thing that I've done. So that's kind of like a little funny story, haha. But really spontaneous is I was able to blag my way into London Fashion Week more than once. I pretended to be someone who was some snooty booty person. Because at the time, I hope I don't get in trouble for this, like revealing too much, but at the time I worked for Mac. And so if you worked on the events team, you got to go behind London Fashion Week, blah, blah, blah. But obviously you had to be on the team. I wasn't on the team. So I just had like my Mac badge. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm so-and-so from the Mac events team, so-and-so. Just really like flicking the badge really quickly, so-and-so. And they let me in and I couldn't believe it. And it was me and my friend because he was into fashion at the time. So he was doing like fashion style and PR, etc. And we got in. And because we'd like bigged it up that we were these big people, we were seeing so many celebrities. I was like, oh my God, that's so-and-so. And then my friend was like, shut up because you're supposed to be famous too. And I was like, oh yeah, because I'm so-and-so. And then we ended up going front row. And I swear to God, all you could see is me being like, oh my God, that's so-and-so. Oh my God, that's so-and-so. My friend was like, I'm never doing this with you ever again. But we did it again.
Who was the most famous person that you saw?
Probably ASAP Rocky, and I wanted to lose my shit. I did lose my shit. Yeah, ASAP Rocky. Honestly, I lost my shit. It was worth it. Have you done anything spontaneous?
I don't really think I'm that much of a spontaneous person, you know. I like organised fun.
I like organised fun.
I like my fun to be. I like to buy the tickets to Fashion Week and go and sit down. I like that sort of thing. But in terms of I wouldn't say that I'm spontaneous. I like to plan out things and be like, okay, where are we going? What are we doing? So maybe that's something that I need to add to my own bucket list, is just do something crazy and spontaneous.
Well,
I've never done. I don't know if it's kind of spontaneous, but when I went to that trip to Peru, I said to my friend, we're going to book a flight and go to Brazil.
Did you do that?
Again, we planned this in advance, but I was just like, I've always wanted to go to Brazil. So I was like, let's not go back home straight away. Let's see if we can get to Brazil. And she was like, okay. And it was like £200 extra. And we were like, we're going to Brazil. And we went to Brazil and it was when the Olympics was. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this was spontaneous. And it's a good travel story. We went to the Olympics, and this was, do you remember when it was like Zika virus? And everybody was so scared of Zika virus, and basically all of the stadiums were empty. And I was saying to my friend, if we're in the Brazil, I have to go to the Olympics because I'm a massive Olympics athletic sports fan in that sense. So we went, and I'm the person that likes to be early for everything. So I was like, we have to get there super early just in case of crowds and this, that, and the other. And she was like, okay, fine, because she's not an early bird. So I dragged her along, and we got there so early. We got there before the security guards turned up.
Amazing.
The stadium. So we were able to show our tickets, and we were supposed to sit up like in the nosebleed section because the security guards weren't on the doors yet. We ran to literally the 100-meter track right in the center, and we just sat there. We're like, if anyone comes, we'll move. Nobody came, and we sat with all the family and all the athletes and all the runners, and we were cheering people on. It was just like, And then after that, we met the Jamaican relay team.
How amazing is that?
Minus Usain Bolt, because it was like a heat, but we met Asafa Powell and all the others, and then I met Maurice Green. I don't know if you remember him, but he was he was the Usain Bolt of like 15 years ago. We saw him, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm a massive fan. And so yeah,
your story is so similar to mine. We both snuck in somewhere and had to pretend to be somebody that we're not. See all these people and just be fangirls.
I'm telling you, I was just like, why don't we try it? Like, I'm in Brazil. Why don't we try and go for the good seats? Why not?
Exactly that. Oh, I like this question. What is the biggest risk you have ever taken?
This was probably something that happened last year. I decided to fight my workplace about the way they were treating me. They weren't treating me very well. They were doing some things that just weren't right, I believe, morally or in the eyes of the law. And I decided that I wasn't going to take it anymore. And I decided to fight. And it was a big risk, because once you fight people and they're in a senior position, basically you've got a number on your back, which I did, but I am never going to regret standing up for myself and saying that actually this isn't okay and this isn't how you treat people. And when it's your livelihood on the line, it's even more of a difficult thing to do. But when I look at where I am now, in a new job, so much happier, so much more mental peace, it was worth everything. And it taught me so much about God, to be honest, and how he was just willing to just be there for me regardless of what situation I'm in. So now I think I'll probably look back on it and say it was probably one of the best risks I've ever taken, and it was one of the best things for me.
That's personally amazing. That's really amazing. That sounds like very like character building as well. That takes a lot of strength to be able to do that.
It was. It wasn't always up. Sometimes it was down and crying tears. But you know, when you just know something is right in your bones, in your spirit, like this is the time to stand up. I just went with it, and it was the best thing I could have done. Okay, so my question is, what's your most controversial opinion?
I'm going to have to be a boring Becky on this one. I'm going to have to pass that, you know. I can't think. What's my most controversial opinion?
Really?
I mean, you can answer if you've got one for yourself, but I actually can't think of one right now. I'm going to have to come back. What's yours?
I've got a lot of controversial opinions, and honestly, some of them I cannot share on here because we will get cancelled as a show. 100%. I can't say it. It's not public. I mean, it's controversial. It's not popular. One thing I would say that is an unpopular opinion that I always skate around, and I'm just going to stand in it. I think it's BS, this whole stuff about men being visual creatures, and you know they can't help themselves, and you know. I just don't believe it. I feel like they could have self-control if they wanted to. And I think that they hide behind saying that we're visual creatures and, you know, we're attracted to women and, you know, we can't help it and we're just so sexually driven. I think it's a lie. Do
you not believe any of the science?
That's a controversial opinion. I just don't believe it. I'm just like, I feel like men have been conditioned to believe this, and now they ramp it up because it's like in their favor now to be like, oh, you know, this is just how we are. And I'm just like, someone needs to stand up and say, no, it's a choice that you've made and you can choose to treat people in a certain way, but you don't have to because society makes it okay if you don't.
What about the science? Do you believe the science that goes into it about men, how they want to like release their seeds and impregnate and spread their DNA and genes?
I just don't believe it. I don't believe it, to be honest. I just don't believe it. I honestly believe that I think a lot of it is down to social conditioning and how we've made it seem like it's okay and that it's natural. You know, like all this stuff about men mature later than women.
You don't believe that? I believe that.
Oh, that's just men when they're young. I think that we allow them to. Okay. That's what I think it is. I think we allow them to mature slower than women, and we make excuses for it, and that's all, well, you know, they're young and, you know, boys will be boys. But I'm just like, no, I don't think it's down to them having a penis. I don't think it's down to you having a penis. I think it's a choice, and you are allowed to have certain behaviours that women aren't able to and wouldn't get ahead
I
with.
have to agree. That's very well said. Very, very well said. In terms of my controversial opinion, I'm going to need a minute to think about that, and I'm going to get back to you on that, I promise you. Thank you for watching and listening to Ethnically Speaking. Let's definitely keep the conversation going. If you have any burning questions that you'd like to ask us, if they're not too intrusive, we will be sure to answer. For a summary of everything that has been discussed today, head over to unitedmelaningroup.com/ESO66. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on a thing. Ethnically Speaking will be back on Friday. But until then, wear your masks, wash your hands, keep your distance, and most of all, stay safe.